Hey, welcome everybody. We're back. MCG's been on a short break, and so we've all been relaxing and taking some time off. And so it's been a little while since we've done a session, but we are excited to be here tonight and back playing some more Numenera. How's everybody doing after the break?
Good. I feel even more steeped in Numenera than I've been in a while because Troy Pitchelman, my podcast partner, has been on me about we need to do an episode on, like, people keep asking for Cypher Speak for there to be an episode on salvaging and crafting the some of the cool new mechanics in Numenera Discovery and especially Destiny. And and I've been like, I looked at his show notes. He kindly made me these lovely show notes, and I was like, oh, I have not read this enough to know how to speak intelligently. So I like curled up in a chair on my break, and I felt like I went chewy on my lap and sort of really read that section on salvaging, and I was super relieved. It was like, it's so, Cipher System is, every time I read something new about Cipher System, it's like it's something, it's new to me but comfortable, right? Like, it still so embodies the ethos of Cypher. So that was my happy space, is finding new Numenera that I already felt at home in.
Well, I feel bad that you sort of did work on your break, but that all sounds really great. I did I did no work. We went away not too far to vacation rental and did a lot of walking around down by the water, the ocean, and wrote some, played some Destiny 2. Just totally took a break from my everyday, and it really was very helpful.
Nice.
Cool. I played a lot of No Man's Sky,
Ooh.
and there's a new update that came out a month or so ago, which basically made it into an entirely different game. So I sort of replayed up till about the point at which I feel like I've done everything there is to do in the game, and then, but that was fun.
I painted some Numenera, or some Dwarven Forge terrain, and I wrote some stuff for Priest of the Aeons. I did some weird ciphers, like
Ooh.
something that it's basically a sobriety bomb. I wanted to focus on things that the Aeon Priest would facilitate, to be like, hey, we're trying to promote civilization and have non-lethal methods of dealing with troublesome people. And so
I love it.
got an angry, drunken crowd, throw this sobriety detonation in there. Everybody sobers up. They're like, oh, we're being crazy. We should go home.
Is it called like the no fun bomb?
I'm sure the typical peasant calls it that, yeah.
You could call it the killjoy.
Sean, I heard a rumor that you also fell in love with buttercream frosting over your break.
Oh my God. So this whole time, I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, okay, cake is fine, blah, blah. And like, oh, frosting on a cake, whatever. It's just like sugary, crunchy. And I decided to go and make a cake this weekend. And I'm like, oh, I've been watching the Great British Bake Off. And they're always making buttercream. And like this other goofy show I watched, the French judge is like, oh, you need to make the buttercream. It's buttercream. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to make some buttercream. Look up the recipe. And like, I'm just sampling that. I'm like, oh, now I understand why people like cake. It's a way to put buttercream in your face without getting up your hands.
And sprinkles. Don't forget the sprinkles.
Yeah.
Cake is just a vehicle for the frosting, I've always felt, personally.
Now I get it.
Yes. We also had a writing retreat, and I wrote about a quarter of a novel, and played a lot of ESO. That's my current game. I have a Templar who runs around and tries desperately not to die. It's mostly my goal.
Cool. Yeah, we had a house full of writers for 3 days. Everyone just kind of came and crashed and wrote and wrote and wrote. We talked about writing, and it was fun. It was good.
That's pretty awesome.
It's weird too. I rewatched, because it's been a little while, so I rewatched the last episode that we did. And I noticed that like I and everybody else in the Seattle area, we were all wearing like short sleeve. And now I've got on like layers, and it's just like fall just sort of fell on this area, which is awesome. I love fall.
Looks like today's going to be the last nice day for a little while anyway. The last sunny day anyway.
Mm. Yeah, I don't equate sunny with nice.
Maybe you could write a game with a setting where it's always fall.
Ooh,
Like
I like what you're thinking.
Invisible Sun. We actually went and also played miniature golf this last week, I think, and it was very sunny out. We walked in because it's inside, and the woman said, "Are you guys enjoying this beautiful sunshine?" And usually I try to be like sort of diplomatic, but I was like, "No, we're rain people."
Rain people. I love it.
I heard a really good term for that. It's being a slut for precipitation.
Ooh.
Wow, that is hard to say, but that is. I sort of feel like you're describing slugs, though.
Hey.
Which is also appropriate for this area, right? Where slugs for purpose.
Alleged. I have seen very few slug pictures enter my inbox.
If you knew the care with which I had to walk through my backyard lest I step on a slug, they are that. No, I'm not even kidding.
Oh,
They're
boy.
that thick. You have to like tiptoe through the yard.
Oh,
It is. It's like lava with slugs.
oh, tiptoe through the limax. Cute.
Nice.
Very good. All right. Well, so we should probably play some Numenera. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Before I give a very, very quick recap of salient points here, why don't we remind ourselves who these characters are? Let's start with Darcy.
Sounds good. So I play Eldon. I am a varjellen Arcus. And I'm sort of the leader of the party. So although it's a pretty, I think it's a very democratic kind of party, right? I very much respect all of your expertises. Something interesting about Eldon this past episode and this episode is the fact that she had taken advantage of the fact that varjellen don't have don't get assigned one sex at they don't start out female and stay female for the rest of their lives. Like many other aspects of their anatomy, they can shift it around. And there's this rumor in Red Ridge, in the town we're in, that a goddess, their goddess, sort of brings strange dreams to select women in the town. And so Eldon changed their organs around and manifested the biology and the whatever other ology of being a female varjellen ? Lots of biology question marks here, and had a strange dream. So pronouns, she could work. She's technically female. They is great. He is also fine. This particular varjellen is any pronouns are sort of will do. Things are so fluid. I don't think it matters very much to Eldon, but she or they is good for today.
Okay. Shauna, why don't you go next?
I play Kin, an optimistic Jack who augments flesh with graphs. I have a couple cool graphs right now. One is a cipher, and the other is more of a tentacly organic type thing. Pretty buoyant and positive. I am male, and I try to keep my enthusiasm in check so that I don't make everyone else feel a little insane by my excited bounciness.
Bruce, go next.
Well, Kuo tries to be the serene balance to the bounciness of Kin. He's a serene right to focus his mind over matter. Not sure why he is so hep on trying to be serene and letting everything just kind of roll over him, but he probably has a reason. In any event, he's very excited, I guess, to the extent that he can be, since he's serene, to have been part of this mission to help establish a base away from our main village. And now that we're here at Red Ridge, sorry, he's very curious to see if we can make this work, and perhaps just even a little bit nervous that things are kind of going not in a direction that he's happy with.
All right, Sean.
I'm playing Tayrog. He is a clever delve who lives in the wilderness, and basically his role is kind of just making sure that we survive as we do this trek from our hometown of Neyron out here to this place. And I think I'm probably the most practical member of this group. I grew up hungry and like sometimes had to live off of, scraps and bugs. So I'm just very much like, hey, we got to do what we got to do to survive. And the fact that we are in this town and they are having food issues, kind of pokes at my heart. And now that we've heard that the priestesses of the goddess have been issuing taboos against certain kind of food, that makes me actually a little annoyed, because there's good food that they could be eating, but it's being forbidden for a religious reason.
Fish.
And
Fish being one.
Fish being one of them, right? And so the idea of your God says you can't have this, even though children are going hungry, that really gets Tayrog kind of upset. But I'm not the talky person in the group. I kind of defer to the others. And so I'm going to try and follow your lead on what you do and not let my big, lying, cranky mouth get us in trouble.
Try.
Well, you guys did a really good job of also hitting some of the more salient points about what happened in the last few sessions, but let me just fill in a few more gaps. So like you said, you're from a town called Neon. You established an outpost that is about halfway distant between your town and this town that you're visiting now called Red Ridge. You've been in Red Ridge for over a week now, kind of got the lay of the land, so to speak, figured out kind of who's who and what's what, who the town elders are, Vorn and Agata, they worship a goddess named Shunanav. Shunanav appears as this kind of big ropey stone-like sculpture, at least to your eyes, that slowly spins within the structure that they've built around it, and apparently sends dreams to women, and some of these women have become priestesses, speaking for their goddess. The other big issue, though, in town is that just outside of town, just down the river, basically, there is a settlement of varjellens. Varjellens like Eldon. And the ninth world being what it is, though, these varjellens are sort of as different from Eldon as humans are, right? Because they also live in these isolated communities, and it's not like a club where everyone knows all the other varjellens. And there has been some tension in town because one of the reasons why the food shortage is now getting worse is because one of the granaries in town burned down. And many of the people in Red Ridge blame the varjellens. So, like I said, you've been here over a week now. You've been staying with Ulrinic and his brother Jeffin. They seem to be very welcoming and accommodating, mostly because you saved Ulrinic's life back a ways in a weird Numenera ruin. And I think at least some of you have spent some time in this last week, helping Ulrinic and his brother get more food, which they then keep turning around and giving to other people because that's just kind of the kind of guys they are. But it has provided some aid kind of across the board a little bit. There are about 500 to 600 people here in town, though, so it's a bigger problem than Tayrog just going out and doing some hunting can solve. So it is night. You guys are getting ready to bed down on the floor in their very simple little cottage here in town, when you all hear cries, people yelling out, kind of shouts of panic and dismay, and finally you hear one that is shouting out, "Fire!"
Oh no!
What do you do?
I'm going to jump up,
Okay.
grab my lucky pipe, and head outside.
Okay.
Likewise.
Fling the door open. It is a bright night. The moon is almost full, giving you some illumination. It's very clear, and it is very there is no question where the sounds are coming from, and in fact, you can even see kind of a disturbing yellow-orange glow off in the darkness.
In that direction.
Heading that
Okay.
way.
Is it off in the direction of sort of fields or
It is unfortunately in the direction of the one remaining granary.
Okay. We will go as fast as we can.
Okay. You run over there. Other people are also running out of their houses and running there too. But you guys get there before most of them do. You both react faster, and Ulrinic and Jaffin's house, or it's really Jaffin's house, is not very far away. So you get there before there's maybe 10 other people already there, and most of them seem to be consumed with dealing with the flames. What do you do when you get there?
Before anything, so I have 2 abilities that might be of use here. One is I have foil danger, which I can use to like kind of shut down a threat. And I don't know if that would help like block off a part of the fire to an important part of the structure to prevent it from spreading or prevent it from collapsing. Or actually, I should ask, is there anybody inside who might need to be rescued? The other ability I have is another delve ability called Resilience, which gives me armor against anything, even things that normally would ignore armor. So I'm actually I'm fairly protected against flames, so I could jump in there if I had to and help people.
Okay. You'd have to actually go in to be sure, but you don't see, it doesn't appear like there's someone in there, and it doesn't seem like, when you get there, it doesn't seem like there would be, unless it's someone who went in there to fight the fire, because it's a granary, right? Which is basically just a big building full of grain, right? Although because of conditions in Red Ridge, it probably was not full. Okay, so which of those 2 things do you want to do, Sean?
I want to try and use foil danger.
Okay.
And perhaps in conjunction, I have a web detonation that creates a sticky strands of goo, and I'm thinking maybe those are kind of wet and might also help suppress any flames that come on them.
Interesting. Okay. You're not thinking like a D&D player. D&D players would know that webs burn.
Right.
Kind of like a palm, really.
The bad joke. Yeah. You think that's quite possible.
Okay.
If you want to do that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna like step into the doorway just to see if there's anything inside, and then try and figure out the best place to use foil danger or with the web detonation to prevent this fire from getting to the explosive part of the grain.
Okay, great. So what I'd like you to do, I think what we'll do is we will use your foil danger ability, and then I will I will say, what's the level of the web detonation? Okay, so that's going to ease this task by 2 steps. So
okay, I will apply a level of effort.
Okay.
Just in case. So that'll be 3 steps total.
Okay.
And
you still need to make a roll.
Yes, I roll a 14.
Nice. Okay. It couldn't have gone better. It is exactly what you hoped for. You see a place, it does look like, if the fire begins to spread up this one side of the building, it's probably going to, get into the interior faster, because it seems as though the fire is mostly on the outside right now. But the problem is of course, if it gets on the inside, not only to destroy the grain, but the grain's going to go up really fast, right? But that's the perfect place for you to put your web detonation, and it smothers a good section of that of the flame. Not doesn't put the entire fire out, but it definitely halts that spread of that one place in its most sort of vital and dangerous position.
Awesome.
What is Kuo going to do?
Sorry. I am running up, so I'm not going to run into the fire like the delve, but I would like to use my. If I will also, you spend a moment trying to see the course of the fire, and if there's a place I think that I can cut it off, or smother it. If there's like some place that's burning the most, like if I see is there I'm looking for an ignition source, let's just say, to see if there is one that's still putting out flames or if it's just kind of generally burning.
Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is make an intellect-based task. This is perception. If you have the skill of perception, otherwise just intellect.
I'll apply a level of effort to that.
Cool.
Actually, what the heck? I'll apply 2 levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
I roll 1.
Oh.
No, you did not.
I did.
Oh my goodness, you are never going to break this curse.
I thought I'd broken the curse.
That's awesome. Okay. Here's what happens. Well, you see some, because the granary is mostly around, and so you're making your way around. You think you see. You're like, I think this fire started right at the ground itself, on the outside, right, which is kind of weird and suspicious. So you come around, and much to your surprise, as you come around, there is suddenly someone standing right in front of you, and they appear to have like some kind of club or something, and they are swinging it at your head.
All right, I will try and dodge that.
Okay.
I'm just going to roll a different dice because that just rolled off my desk here. That's an 11 this time.
Okay. That is not quite. They caught you just too much by surprise, and so something just collides with your jaw. Just it's like somebody's just hitting you with a wooden club, and you see stars and take 4 points of damage.
Alrighty, I take that all. I will cry out if I can.
Okay.
Unless I see too many stars.
It's probably it might end up being more of a than a cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kin, what do you do?
Well, this is a very belated response, but I'm gonna I'm gonna start talking to everybody and use encouraging presence. So for 1 minute, allies within short range get an asset and defense rolls. So I'm gonna make sure I'm within a short range of as many of them as possible, and I'm just gonna do my cheerleading thing. We're gonna be able to do this. Great job getting the but unfortunately I started after Kuo, so that probably wasn't very much help.
No, but you're definitely going to, because remember, there's a bunch of other townsfolk here who are also, and more arriving like sort of by the moment. And I mean, you affect everybody in a radius, is that right?
It says allies within short range. So, I assume unless I'm actively, aggressive with them. Yes.
Yeah. These people are your allies. So you're helping the entire effort with your enthusiastic words. And it seems to be making a difference. So lastly, let's find out what Eldon's doing.
I would like to take out a cipher, this little silver canister of that we found back at the place that is now becoming our base. So it is a phase changer, and what I would like to do, I'm going to test it on a small part first, but I saw that Tayrog had kind of cleared the fire away from a small region of it, and I'm testing out to see whether if I spray a little of this phase change, can the fire spread to that, or does it kind of neutralize it, right? I was just wondering if I could cut off another section, basically contribute to what Tayrog was doing of isolating another sector that can't get spread, sort of giving a line in the sand with this phase spray.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see if it works. I think
Great. What's the level of the cipher?
The level is phase spray. Looks like I hadn't rolled it. Wrote down all the stuff. It's 5 by 25, 1 hour. Oh, no.
Okay. Just toss a
Roll
d6.
Yeah. Boop. That is a 3.
Okay. So I'm just I'm gonna need you to make a roll.
Mm-hmm.
But the level of the cipher is pretty good, so it's probably shouldn't be too hard. But I just need to know sort of how quickly and accurately you're gonna spray this.
Yeah. I'm going to. I'm trained in visually perceiving. I don't know if that'll really help. I can kind of see what I'm doing. This is more dexterous, so probably not. But I'm going to spend 2 levels of effort on this. I really want it to just work. This is fire. It can spread really fast.
If you spend 2 levels, if you're gonna ease it by another 2 steps, then you're basically going to also accomplish kind of what Tayrog did, but on the other side, where the fire was spreading in the other direction, because your plan, your idea is 100% correct. Things that are out of phase don't burn.
Yeah.
And so you just sort of make a whole section of the side of the granary just
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So that's really cool. It's also going to make it out of phase. And so if the granary was full, it might be a problem with grain spilling out through the fire, but the granary is not full, so that doesn't really become much of an issue.
That was the testing part. Was it like?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was just curious. As I get some of the phase, can we see through? Right, we can kind of. It gets a little out of phase. Can we see into it, or is it visually?
Yes, and there isn't anything surprising inside. Okay, so but thanks to the GM intrusion that Kuo sort of activated, now we need to make sure that we're going to go round by round. So I'm going to have everybody roll initiative.
Yes. Oh, I rolled a 1. Thanks, Bruce.
All right, that's going to be another intrusion.
Yeah.
I might save that one for a second.
Oh, brutal.
I rolled an 11.
16.
I'm going to apply a level of effort, which means that because I'm still kind of new to this area, my curious means I get a free level of effort on top of that for spending a level of effort.
Okay.
Cool.
So I rolled a 15, and that's a total of 2 levels of effort.
Okay, that's awesome. So Tayrog, what do? You've just quenched a big part of the fire with your web detonation, and you also you saw Kuo run around this kind of past you around the side of the granary, and then you hear kind of a whap. Ugh.
I'm going to head that way because I think Kuo is hurt, or something's fallen down, or a villager's hurt. I'm going to go investigate.
Okay. You don't have to go very far before you see Kuo reeling from a blow across the jaw, and kind of standing over him, a good foot taller than Kuo, is a varjellen with a big wooden club. It's a varjellen you've not seen before. That at least you're pretty sure. And in fact, you see kind of 2 other figures, just sort of silhouetted in the night, farther away. They also might be varjellen, and they seem to be kind of moving away. But there's this one guy who's just right there. Looks like he's getting ready to hit Kuo again.
I'm thinking this is Delix, that one exile that they told us about. So I'm going to. Can I get there and attack him, or at least block him from trying to hit Kuo?
Yeah, you can get there and attack him if you want.
Yeah, then I'm going to do that, and I'll apply. Oh, why not? I'll apply 2 levels of effort to hit him with my lucky pipe.
Wow. So you're easing it by 2 steps, and what do you get?
Rolled an 18.
Wow. Okay, so that's going to be +2 damage as well, and you definitely are going to hit.
That's 4 from the pipe, so a total of 6.
Okay. So it's well. So you use that as a spear or as a club?
I don't want to kill this guy. I want to be able to question him, so I'm going to use it like a club.
Okay. So it's club versus club. All right. So you kind of smash him. You don't probably go in for his face too, but you don't quite get it. But you kind of impact him with the butt of the pipe right in the chest, which is actually kind of a vulnerable spot for Varjellen. And
It's where
and
his juice bowl is.
He doesn't. What's that?
Where his juice bowl is.
We're gonna have a talk after this.
And so he just kind of makes a grimacing expression and holds where you hit him, but he's standing his ground. But Kuo, you rolled a 16 for your initiative, I think.
That's right.
So you actually are going to go right before he goes.
All right. I think that defense is the better part of valor, so I'm actually going to use an ability that allows me to mentally put up a shield of force around myself. Basically, gives myself an advantage from against it. Eases my defenses within incoming attacks.
Okay. Cool. You're surrounded by a force field. So this Varjellen changes his tactics, kind of does a half turn and swings that club around kind of low toward Tayrog.
All right, I'm going to defend. Roll a 5.
He smacks you just sort of in the gut.
Okay.
Don't forget you get a bonus from me. I don't know if it helps enough.
Okay, it's a step for defense?
Gain an asset on defense rolls, yeah.
Okay. But you rolled a 4.
5.
5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm afraid that doesn't quite help enough.
Sure.
It helps, just not enough. And so he smashes you sort of into the midsection. It's 4 points of damage.
Okay. But my resilience ability means I have 1 point of armor, so I only take 3.
Okay. And that is when pull out a couple of XP cards for Tayrog. Because one of the other figures that's off in the distance, he pulls out something. He's got something in his hand, looks like maybe a stone or something, and he hurls it at you. But even as he hurls it at you, you can see there's a little blinking light on it as he hurls it. And so you need to, well, what do you do? This thing's coming at you. Oh, you're muted.
Right. I will accept your GM intrusion, and I'm going to pass this other XP over to Eldon because they did a really smart thing on using that that cipher.
Thank you.
I want to immediately spend this 1 XP that you gave me on a player intrusion. As a delve, I could do a fortuitous malfunction. A trap or a dangerous device malfunctions before it can affect you.
Okay, cool. So this thing flies through the air. It's got a little blinking light, and then just as it's reaches sort of the apex of the arc, as it's coming toward you, that little blinking light turns off, and it just hits you. It's hard. It does a point of damage, but you have your resilience, so it just bounces off of you, just kind of a oof, and it lays at your feet. It looks it's kind of, it's almost like potato shaped, but it's metal and synth.
Ooh.
And it's got some like little lights or something on it, and it's just laying there. All right. And that is the NPCs that are going to act. So it is either Kin or Eldon's turn, actually. Actually, Eldon, you rolled a 1. Let's have Ken go first.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm close enough to see that Tayrog is and Kuo are both kind of getting smacked around, right?
Actually, no.
Okay.
You can hear noises even
Okay.
over the shouts of people working on the fire. You can hear shout that sounds like there's a scuffle or something going on, but it's just out of your line of sight around the side of the greenery. Yeah.
I'm gonna head that way. I don't know how far they are from me, but I'd love to head that way and take an action if it's possible.
You can, because it's just like when Kuo went around, just like when Tayrog went around.
Okay.
You kind of go around and it's right
And
there.
they're right there. Okay, well, and so I'm going to use my my graft, which is my ray emitter, to try to paralyze the varjellen.
Okay.
And I can project a ray of energy up to long range, and it paralyzes the target for 1 minute, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
That's a level 8. Oh, that's a 1.
Oh my gosh. Sean, it's coming for you. You haven't rolled a 1 yet, have you?
Ooh,
boy.
All right, so you have this ray emitter.
No!
It's built into your arm, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how many uses do you get out of that?
I have to roll for
Okay, depletion.
let's see, to depletion, yes.
Oh boy.
So you fire this beam, and it's in the middle of this scuffle.
No.
And it is actually headed right for because the varjellen, your target, kind of moves surprisingly. It is headed right for Kuo.
Oh no.
Well, you need to make a dodge, and this is a level 8 cipher.
Yeah, but I also give you a point of dodge.
Right, so that'll mean you have a
All right, so this will
be
be eased by 2 steps because I also put up my my speed defense deflection.
Right.
So you're sitting at a 6.
Well, I roll 7, so.
Okay. Then you are hit by this paralysis ray.
Oh no!
I probably don't even see where it's coming from. Actually,
It's from right behind you.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna use the one that Eldon rolled and pull that out.
Finally comes around.
I wish that this could affect Eldon more directly, but it can't. So there you go. The ray, because you've got this shimmering field or something around you, Kuo, the ray seems to interact with it in a surprising, like 1 in a million chance kind of way. And so not only are you paralyzed, but the ray also shoots off and has a chance of hitting Tayrog. So Tayrog, you also need to make a dodge defense roll.
Is this another level 8?
It's a level 8. Actually, because it's this weird thing, it's level 7. It isn't a perfect shot. That's me being generous.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm hoping this magic ricochet will not hit me. I'm going to apply 2 levels of effort to dodge this because I don't want to be paralyzed in the face of all these opponents.
Okay, the difficulty's 5.
Yep. And I rolled an 8.
Okay, so
no.
Ken, you managed to paralyze both of your allies with 1 shot. You kind of don't even know what happened. There's just sort of play of energy around the 2 of them, and then neither one of them is moving.
This is not even a possible thing. Like, Ken's mind is completely blown by the fact that, like, this is not the kind of thing that can possibly ever happen to poor optimistic Ken.
Aww.
Oh.
Eldon, it is your turn.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm hearing like a lot of scuffles. I just heard
Yes,
the
probably
sound
even kind of see this bright glow from behind, but it's not of fire. It's some kind of other energy disturbance.
That's a good sign.
Flee now while you have a chance. Don't come around this corner.
So there are onlookers, right? There's all these people around who've come to check out the fire in the greenery.
Yes, there's a few people who are onlookers, but most people are just diving right in and working on the fire, especially with Ken's encouraging words.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I would like to, if there's anyone standing around like who looks like they don't know what to do, I'm going to yell, that group of people over there, and I give somebody a task. I'm not sure if they'll listen to me, but I want to give somebody a task for something that I notice needs tending, and I want to run over to the sound of the scuffles because I'm worried something even worse is coming. So,
Okay. You don't even have to make a roll. That
yeah.
person just immediately does what because you have this, you're an Arcus, you have this commanding presence about you. You're a natural born leader, and so they do what you suggest. Then you run around, and then you suddenly find yourself in the middle of a scuffle. You see two of your friends there. They seem to be just kind of recoiling and unable to move, and their body parts are very stiff and whatnot. And Kin is standing there looking shocked, and there's a Varjellen who's looking a little confused, but has a club and looks like he's getting ready to use it.
Okay. I would like to cast minor illusion. I want to summon the image of the leader, one of the leaders of the Varjellen little conclave, who disapproved of sort of the young upstart Varjellen who seemed a little more antsy to get at war with the humans. So the name started with an A, or identimoth. Azanzar, yeah. So I want to, twiddle my fingers and have Azanzar walk from behind the confused-looking Varjellen, looking very angry. Maybe it'll only buy us time, but I'm hoping it will surprise, quite possibly Delix, or So I'm hoping this figure will.
And you can. It's only visual, right? It's.
It does. I think it does also make sound. Let me check. This one is. I can move. Includes sound but not smell. So for Varjellen, maybe it will be obvious something's off, but. So maybe I'll just have him making like disapproving noises, or like shock, right? Yeah.
Or whatever the Varjellen equivalent of tisk.
Which will probably be wrong because I don't really know these Varjellen, but I try to make him look like he looked when we visited.
Well, I tell you what. So I want you to make a roll for just how believable an illusion of a Zenzar does, and then I'm going to have you make a. Once you do that, I'm going to have you make another roll that sort of portrays like the emotion that you want to try to get across.
Perfect. Yeah, those seem like two separate things. Cool. I have training in deceiving, which might help. Well, so this first one would either my perception or deception help?
I think deception works, right? Cool. When you're clearly trying to deceive this guy.
Yeah. So I rolled an 11, and it's eased with my training, so that's a level 4.
Okay.
Not the best, but
so it's a pretty convincing version of a Zenzar.
Great. And now the hard part, getting this puppet to do what I want it to. So I'm going to spend, let's see, 2 levels of effort here. I want it to look right. I think this could really buy us time and get this guy malleable. So 2 levels of effort. Maybe my perception could help here, but in any case. Oh, okay. I roll a 9. It's eased by 2.
Okay. So, Azanzar comes walking around this the side of the granary, and this Varjellen with the club looks surprised a bit to see that, because because it would seem that Azanzar is like coming from Red Ridge, right?
Yeah.
And so he seems surprised. You can see the surprise in his face, and he just points right at your illusion, and he stops paying attention to the people that he's fighting, and he says, "Azanzar, I have done what I told you I would do. With this, we will drive the humans away from here forever."
Excellent.
And how do you have Azanzar react?
So I attempt to have him react like furious and ashamed, right? Like, when it comes from a place of love, right? Like you
Right.
really let down your dad and you messed up. That is the emotion I'm trying to go for. Not, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, but also a little mad also.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for.
And this varjellen, who as Sean mentioned, might be the one that you heard about named Delix. He does kind of have this attitude of like the super rebellious
Mm-hmm.
Teenager who is kind of telling off his dad, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You don't actually think that they're father son,
Right.
but the relationship might not be far from that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So unfortunately, Tayrok and Kuo, you are both currently paralyzed. And
Actually, question.
okay.
So I am trained in resisting mental effects. I don't know if this is a mental effect or if it's a physical, like instant
physical.
poison.
I think it's more physical.
Okay. Well, I was running one of my options as a player intrusion, as a delve, is that I can. Turns out that something that was affecting me was less potent than it initially seemed. And the examples in the Destiny book say, oh, the poison or the disease does half damage. But I'm wondering if I could do one and just have it wear off.
You have another XP?
I do. Out.
Okay, that seems totally reasonable. And so you will spend this round paralyzed, but already kind of working your way out of it.
Okay. This is me spending XP.
So right now, this varjellen is focused on the illusion, and he's still just shouting, and he says, "First we will drive them from this region, and then we will drive them from this planet." Just
boy,
kind of ranting a little bit. And so, Kin, it is your turn.
Well, boy, I feel like I have just seen a world that I did not know existed, where I managed to freeze my two friends in the middle of like a very dangerous situation, and I'm I'm feeling a little shocked, I think. And normally I would just retry that because I have all these things to, but I have a thing that's called shrugs off disappointment. And so I'm
Seems
gonna
perfect.
So if I retry its task I failed within the past minute using the same difficulty and modifiers, so this time I have an asset.
Oh, cool.
And it costs me 3 intellect points. So this is I'm gonna buck it up, and I don't know what's gonna happen if I fail this one, but we'll find out.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to attempt to hit the varjellen, not anyone else that I know and like who is still able to move.
Watch out, Eldon.
So I'm gonna apply. So the other varjellen. I'm actually probably yelling this.
Yeah.
So I'm using the same difficulty and modifiers, except now I have an asset. So.
Okay.
All right. And I roll a 9.
Nice. All right.
Oh, phew.
You hit the ranting varjellen, and your asset is perfect. It's exactly what you need to make the difference. And he also suddenly his body locks up as though he is also not going to be moving anywhere.
Thank goodness.
And Eldon, what do you do?
First of all, I need to share with you the fact that ability is called optkinism. Okay, had to make that pun because it was bubbling up out of me. So he's still sort of distracted by this thing.
Now he's paralyzed.
Now I banished the illusion.
Okay.
Looking smug, which probably looks something like impatient on Eldon, but you all know it as smug. So Eldon walks up to him. He seems to still be, perceiving everything, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do any of my friends immediately need my help? So the one Tayrog looks like you're getting out of your paralysis. Kuo, you're okay. You're gonna come out. Yeah, it'll be okay. So I'm gonna like stalk up to this guy, and I think I'm gonna try to, while I have him here so wrapped with attention, I'm gonna try to present a vision of the future in which I don't team up with his leader to banish him or otherwise stop him from being a menace. And yeah, I'd like to make the case that we don't know one another, but I'm a varjellen too. I've lived among the humans and many different populations of humans for a long time. There's no reason we can't coexist. We are going. The tensions in your community are only getting exacerbated, and will come down even harder on your small community of varjellen. You need to work with those around you. There are enough dangers out in these wilds, and I sort of conjure a little horrible monster behind me.
Oh, with an
If
illusion?
possible. Yeah, I think so, right?
Okay,
I can
cool.
twist the illusion, right? If I have him for more than a round, then I can, bring up another illusion of some horrible beast we've encountered out in the wilds. It could be a ravage bear, probably. That's fresh in our minds.
But you don't actually want him to believe that there's
Nope.
really a ravage bear there. You're just kind of doing it for visual aid.
Yes,
Okay.
there are many horrors out in the wilds. We will only make it. We will only make our time in these lands successful if we work together. The dangers out there will overpower you and your community. You are endangering all of those around you with your actions. That's my pitch. Kin, you're the one capable of backing me up or anything. So if I'll probably look to you to see if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I think that I'm probably overcoming enough my, that win allowed me to return to myself. And so I'm probably just sort of giving the, exactly what she said. That's definitely what's going to
happen.
Darcy, I'd like you to make a roll for this.
All right.
So I'm specialized in persuasion. Are you trying to persuade him or intimidate?
I think I'm trying to persuade him.
Okay. Yeah. So I can help you.
Cool. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to make the roll, but if possible, I have an idea for a player intrusion. I'm not sure if it works with the narrative, but there were those two other varjellen that he was presumably with. Might one of them come back or be visible? Like, if those, I'm wondering if he's, as I'm giving this speech, if he sees one of the people he's working with, maybe that's someone important to him and he knows that he's endangering them too, right? Would you think that's like the fact that one of them is suddenly in vision or something might help my case? Or?
Yes, they are still around for sure.
Cool. All right. I player intrude that one of them kind of comes back into the scene and he sees them as I'm giving this speech.
Okay.
All right.
So you've got help from Kin, you've got the cool illusion, and you've got this intrusion. So go ahead and make a roll. And I'm assuming you're probably skilled in this too, right?
Persuasion. Yep.
Okay.
So that's it's eased by 4 at this point.
Sounds right.
Wow. Okay. I'll spend a level of effort as well. Just 1.
Okay.
Eased by 5. I roll a 13, which is
nice.
respectable.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Oh no.
You can see, like, even though he's paralyzed and he's not moving, you can see he's just sort of looking at you with angst and anger. But those two other varjellen coming closer, and apparently the power of your words and your player intrusion and everything, they come in closer to listen to the rest of your speech.
Perfect.
And then they look at each other, and then they go around and they join the humans who are trying to put the fire out.
Sweet.
just without like even saying a word. They
Oh.
just go over there, and people are grabbing blankets to smother the flames, and other people have started bringing buckets of water from the river
Nice job.
close by. And
Thank you, Ken.
you can see that this one guy is still seething
Yeah.
with anger, but he no longer has anyone on his side.
Yeah. I
I
will
knew
take
you
that.
could do it, Eldon. Well done.
Thank you. If he's gonna keep me in trouble, I think I may ask. As my Tayrog seemed like he was about ready to be.
Yes.
Uh,
We're not really worried about initiative anymore because
right.
there aren't any sort of foes to deal with.
I'll ask Tayrog. Should we bring him to his people? Should we bind him? I'm not sure why I think Tayrog can advise me in these matters, but
Yeah, do we see Ulrenic or Jaffin around anywhere?
Yes. They are here. They're helping put out the fire.
Okay. Actually, I'm the fastest person here. I'll run back to their house, get my rope, and I'll tell Eldon, I'm going to get some rope. Use the bounding boots, run over, and then come back with that and tie him up.
Okay. The paralysis lasts a while, so there's probably time for you to do that. Meanwhile, so when the Varjellans go into the crowd and start helping, the initial reaction is, a lot of people are yelling out, "I told you, see, it was the Varjellan," but then they're helping, and suddenly those angry voices kind of recede, and everyone just works together to put out the rest of the fire. So the fire is eventually put out without too much more issue, and with, in the end, not nearly as much damage. Most importantly, the little remaining foodstuffs inside not burned.
Well, that's a big relief.
And you have Delix now tied up, and he and Kuo probably gain mobility about the same time.
Gave me a chance to meditate.
All right. So what do you do then?
I want to ask my compatriots. This is you. For all the time that I've spent in human culture, I think this is a delicate enough matter that I want your opinion. Delix has wronged both communities with his actions. How can we bring him to justice in front of both of their leaders? Should we? Will the humans be offended if we take them back to his community, his Varjellen community that he's exiled from?
I don't know if the humans at this point realize that the Varjellen started it, so probably they wouldn't. I think the problem, I think the Delux need to be dealt with, you're right, but I think the deeper problem is that the resources are going to remain constrained and the problem will remain. I feel like we're going to have to sneak into the goddess's chamber and see if we can't, if I can use my ability to modify the Numenera, assuming it's not a real goddess, of course.
Keep your voice down.
Yes, I'm trying to speak. Or you can use your ability as a newly minted female to speak differently. Those are a couple options in the future after we deal with Delix.
You have a very good point. This does not solve the ongoing hunger problems of these communities.
To answer your question, I think we can walk Delix, assuming this is Delix, over to the Varjellen village, and then come back and talk to the leader here of Red Ridge and explain the situation, and have the two leaders come together, and perhaps they will think up a suitable punishment for Delix.
Well, speaking of which, even as you're having this conversation and the fire is pretty much out, both Vorn and Agata, the two sort of co-leaders of this place, their husband and wife, they kind of come around, and Vorn says, "Did he start the fire?"
This is an outcast of the Varjellen community who has been stirring up trouble and attempting to stir up trouble between the humans and the Varjellen. It appears that he's behind the fires. It appears that he is... other Varjellen helped put the fires out tonight. It does not appear he has represents a very large group of the Varjellen.
Yeah, Agata says yes. They're over speaking with the others now. We're surprised they haven't ever come to help us before like that.
It demonstrates that when people of goodwill are in danger, that others of goodwill will come and help.
Agata says, well, you lend a lot of weight to that argument by your own actions. You've been helping the town ever since you arrived, and tonight's certainly no exception. But what do we do now? And she kind of looks down at Delix.
Is Delix saying or doing anything at all? Able to do that at this point?
He's tied up. But have you gagged him, or
I think so.
I'd rather not have him screaming and yelling stuff.
Does that mean you did gag him?
Yes.
Okay. Then no, he's not doing anything except glaring angrily.
Angst. So much Varjellen angst.
Which oddly enough looks like a smile.
Well, we were thinking that we would take this miscreant back to its people and explain the trouble that he has been causing both your community and indirectly their community, because if you became enraged against the Varjellen, you would probably go and wipe that community out, despite what this hothead thinks.
Maybe there's a way that you and the leaders of the Varjellen village can come to a compromise about what to do about this exile and how your two peoples can work together so that everybody survives and nobody starves.
Well, both Vorna and Agata kind of look at Eldon, and they say, the presence of all of you, and in particular you, Eldon, has clearly given us a means to bridge a river that has been uncrossable for quite some time. We will go with you, Vorin says, if you want to go speak to the Varjellen. We need to talk to Azanzar.
Let us go together. Are they willing to come tonight, immediately? I would like to put this issue to rest and see what is on the other side of that river.
Okay. It's about a 10-minute walk down the river. It's a bright lit evening with the moon and stars. And who has Delix?
I'll take him. I think I'm probably the strongest.
Okay. Do you have him like bound, like literally bound, so like even his legs don't move, or do you just kind of have his hands tied?
I want to have his hands tied. I mean, I don't want to have to drag him. I'm just going to walk him. We're not uncivilized people.
Okay. Then you see the lights of the little Varjellen camp. It's much smaller, obviously, than Red Ridge. Population is much, much smaller. And your approach has not gone unnoticed. They are already gathering as would be 7 of you come into the camp. And you can hear a few kind of hushed voices and you can kind of get snippets of words and phrases like leaders of the town and it's Delix, that kind of thing.
As
What
we
do you do?
as we approach the kind of, there's that waterfall that leads into a little pool, which is sort of where we met with Azanzar the last time. I'm hoping to go kind of respectfully right to that spot and no further. I'm not trying to trample or trespass. But if any, varjellen will come kind of close enough, I'll ask. I have a matter for Azanzar that requires his presence urgently. I apologize.
Both Azanzar and the first of the varjellen that you talked to, Idedamoth, come forward as soon as you come that far into the camp.
Excellent. We have found who is at the root of the fires and contributing to the tensions between your two communities. Delix, right? Delix was found putting fire to the final granary of the human community, and while he had recruited 2 from your own community, they defected and began to help with the fire. You should be proud that the young that you've raised here have been able to turn their ways around, even if Delix is not. Trying to summarize and placate.
Yeah, well, go ahead and make a roll using your persuasion just as a general social interaction kind of task.
Perfect. I'll spend a level of effort.
Okay.
Oof.
Anyone else want to join in or contribute?
I can contribute on the persuasion part. I can help because I'm specialized.
What would you like to say?
I really like to focus on the fact that because I just had my own sort of turnaround, like my little mini version of it. I really want to focus on the fact that these kids like just instantly like heard reason and changed their mind and didn't just not do something bad, but did something awesome and wonderful and really helpful. And because I think both leaders could hear that more strongly.
Great point.
Great. And so you'll definitely be easing the task. And then Bruce, were you gonna jump in?
I was going to merely add that that the fact that these 2 varjellen helping with the fire shows that as 2 communities working together, it demonstrates strength. And going forward, you should keep that in mind. You can bond. If you can form a bond of friendship, that will mean you will both be stronger. I don't actually have any persuasion to add. Well, I'm just helping, I guess.
Okay. Cool. So it sounds like this task is going to get eased by 4 steps. Is that right?
4 or 5 is Kuo's helping. Is that a whole level? Well, then I think it's 5 with my effort, my training, Kin's training, and or maybe it's 4 with Kin. Yep. Okay. I rolled a 4 though, and I would like to spend XP to reroll it because it just doesn't feel right for the moment. So perhaps I start going down, start saying something that is going to offend one or the other of the leaders, and one of you helps out, sort of cuts in with one of your.
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
What means
brutal. I rolled a 3.
I have an XP for you.
Oh,
another one.
This seems important.
This seems important. Yeah. Thank you.
You stumble a bit. Tayrok says, "Look, don't be a dummy," and then you just have to shut him up.
Oh my gosh, it's a 3. Okay, so what's happening here? How am
I have one more.
One more? Okay.
I have one more.
I need to get like another die 20. Jeez. Okay, cannot be a 3 or 4. Give me a 1 before you give me another 3 or 4.
No, don't say that. What are you saying?
A 19, a minor effect. Okay, this is why we reroll. Right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
This is a very teamwork episode. We're all going down together, or we're all succeeding together.
So with the words, not just of Eldon, but of the whole group, there's kind of this moment where the silence just kind of hangs over the group. And then Agata steps forward toward Azanzar, and she holds her hand out in a human fashion. And Azanzar looks confused for a moment, but then holds his hand out, and they shake hands. And Vorn says, "We need to start working together." They speak. These outsiders have brought knowledge from afar, wisdom from afar, and uh, we are facing lean times, and we can only survive by working together. And then he asks Zanzar, "Do you have some way of dealing with this one?" He says, motioning to Delix. And Zanzar says he was banished from our community. He is not allowed here. And Vorn says, "Well, we do have a jail cell. At least we'll know that he's not causing any more trouble." Do any of you have anything to jump in there with that?
If that's not a good solution for either of you, we do have to head back to Neon and communicate that we've established contact with you. We could just, leave him somewhere along the way.
What?
We could take him with us to Neon, where he can find a whole new group of people that. Maybe that's a bad idea.
let's ask him if what he would like.
Yeah, we can let him. Does he have anything to say about
His own future, right? I mean,
Not while he has a gag in his mouth, no.
yeah, let's fix that just for like one moment.
Okay.
I will tell him how good I am with my integrated cipher and threaten to paralyze him
Again.
again.
Yeah, I know how well that works, yes.
He okay, so you take the gag out of his mouth, and he says, "You all can talk and talk all you want, but I know the truth. This is the Varjellen world. And you," he says, looking particularly at Kin, but probably referring to all the humans, "you are interlopers here. You are the visitants."
Well, even if that's true, we're here now, and we should work together for all the reasons we've just reiterated. What's your problem?
He says, "I cannot abide that."
Tayrog, would you mind reinstating the gag?
I have a question for him. What do you want us to do about you?
"I want nothing but for you to leave this area.
Well, that's not going to happen.
All of you. It
I'm
will
asking-
one day. I'll get my way."
And gag.
I would
Don't wanna listen to that.
I would hate to pass on the danger that he presents to another unwitting community of humans. If you have the resources and perhaps can help out the town with the resources it will take to keep him in jail and keep him fed and healthy and humane, that seems like the best action to take.
Okay. Zanzar, Vorn, and Agata agree to make that happen. Basically the Varjellans will take care of him, but he'll be kept in Red Ridge until such time as he can be rehabilitated, as Zanzar says, a little bit of hope in his small eyes.
Yeah, I would. It's the middle of the night. The beautiful stars shining above us. at this point, I'm going to propose that we all, that the humans and our group go back to Red Ridge to help with any final putting that disaster to rest, have a night, and meet again in a few days to talk about ways our communities can actively help one another. But I think our business here is done.
As a parting gift, Adedamoth brings out a couple of big containers of food, and holds it out to Vorn and Agata and says, "Please take this as a gift of our friendship." And Vorn and Agata look at it, and it's mostly fish. And they say, we thank you for your generosity so much, but we will have to decline in the name of our goddess.
Ooh.
I whisper to Adedamoth, that's one of the things we want to talk to you about in a couple of days.
Okay. Adedamoth just kind of gives a completely meaningless to you gesture.
Right.
You don't know what it is. All right. So you return back. The fire is out. Those two varjellen who came and helped are in the middle of sort of being celebrated as heroes, which
Good. That's
that's
great.
justice or not, but everyone is thanking them and making a big deal about it. And then when you return, you guys, everyone's sort of passing around big jugs of homemade wine and celebrating. And so that night will probably pass with some celebrations and sleeping late the next morning.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So what do you want to do now?
I agree with what folks, I think Tayrog and Kuo were mentioning about this long-term food issue. I respect the strangeness of communities that I enter and don't understand. However, this is interfering with their ability to live and feed their young. If this is a goddess, if we consider to believe as they believe, perhaps the interpretation of her will is murky. Perhaps there's a way we can clarify that in a way that lets them not have so restrictive a rule that they cannot feed themselves.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe in the light of the two villages agreeing to work together, maybe the priestesses would say something about, oh, we've had a new dream, or we've had a reinterpretation of a dream, and the goddess now, in the spirit of cooperation with the varjellen, wants the humans of Red Ridge to eat fish just like the varjellen do, and nobody will starve.
Well, that sounds wonderful, but how do we get the priestesses to say that?
Hoping you very persuasive people will take care of that.
Well, we are opening a trade route, right? I mean, that's our goal too. So we could find a way to make that trade route work for the town as well.
Should we try and talk to the priestesses again? Just you, Eldon, now as someone who can talk as if you are having visions now.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps your interpretation can influence their interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
You can demonstrate that you actually are having these.
I would like to visit the temple again and the goddess now that I have had a connection with it, and see if you, those of you who are more experienced in Numenera than I, can, perhaps our fresh eyes will help us understand a little more too. Perhaps we can do nothing about the machine, about tinkering with it, but if we're going to talk to the priestesses, I would like your eyes on the machine as well. Would you help me?
Okay, so during the day, I assume, you go to the temple. So yeah, there's this massive edifice of formed rock. It looks almost as though like ropes of rock have just kind of been twined up into a big, long sort of spindle shape, and it's slowly turning and kind of making kind of a very, very light humming noise. And the people of the town clearly, quite a while ago, but in human terms, built a structure around this much older thing, and it doesn't quite touch the ground. It's about 6 inches off of the ground, and the two priestesses are Shuna Aran and Shuna Abi, and they are dressed kind of in robes, dark blue, and are very happy to see you and smile and say, Shuna Aran, in fact, says, I understand that you were able to help with the fire last night and perhaps bridging the gap between our communities. This is a blessing. You clearly were called here by Shunanav.
I say more than you know, and I look at Eldon.
Perfect. Eldon, does a perfectly fine approximation of a human nod, and says, "We varjellen change throughout our life, and I have embodied my female form, and Shunanov has brought me dreams. I was hoping you could help me interpret them, but I think it is suggestive, although I need your expertise, that as soon as I began experiencing the dreams is when we had the opportunity to assist the village being saved from the fire and to forge that connection. Surely this is the work or influence of Shunanov. What does that suggest? Are there more ways we can, she is instructing us to behave?
It is possible, but the mysteries and understanding the mysteries of interpreting the messages of Shunanav require a great deal of training and time and practice. Shuna Aran says, young Shuna Abi here has only recently mastered it after 8 years of practice and study. So while it is very intriguing that you believe you have been sent dreams, the messages that can be decoded from those dreams are probably not going to come to you anytime soon, unless you want to attempt to join the priesthood with us, and we will show you this way. But it takes a great deal of time.
Interesting. As unfortunately, I do not think I can make that dedication to this goddess, wonderful though she may be. I think
that is understanding. That is understandable. Most cannot.
But we were hoping to understand a little more about how she operates, so that we can assist both of your communities. I think your goddess is as much a player in the stability of the community as your leaders and the varjellen leaders. When did the edict about not eating fish come down? Is this a common occurrence that she instructs you?
She looks at you a little condescendingly, and she says, many are the messages of Shunanav, and she goes into this whole big long spiel of how Shunanav watches over the community here by giving advice and giving information, and following her will leads to success and life and goodness. Going against her will leads to terrible luck and untimely death and disaster. And she kind of goes on and on and on. And
I want to interrupt her when she gets to
Ooh.
that point and talks about how going against our will leads to untimely luck and disaster. And I say, so I find it interesting that your community is facing untimely luck and disaster and is starving. Is there any possibility that you are going against the will of Shunaroth
no.
and you are starving your people?
She looks at you condescendingly and she says no.
And who are you to say, as a priestess, you are not Shunaroth? You are merely speaking. You say you are speaking for Shunaroth.
They kind of exchange glances with each other and they say, "We wish you good journeys."
All right.
How did
I screwed up our chances there, didn't
No,
I?
it's worth a shot. We have to try. How does Shuna Abi look? She's the younger one.
Mm-hmm.
Does she look like she is 100% feeling the?
You have some skill at that, right?
Yeah, visually perceiving and
Okay.
understanding motivations.
This is the next day, by the way, so you can have rested and gotten points back in your pools.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you go ahead and make a task out of that?
Yeah, I'll spend 2 levels of effort just because I am so, bewildered by these people, and I really don't understand the best path to take with them. So 2 levels of effort, trained in understanding motivations, so ease by 3, and I roll an 11.
Okay. You think that Shuna Abi hangs on every word that Shuna Aran says, and it seems if Shuna Aran said, "We all need to go and stick our heads in the river for an hour," she would do it.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. As we sort of exit the temple and go congregate under some tree, I'm afraid they are so set in their Shuna Aran's understanding of those dreams that I don't know that we can convince them otherwise.
It also comes out that like it's not just an edict against fish.
Right.
Fish are unclean and dangerous, but there are also other things. There are other kinds of foods that aren't allowed, and other kinds of foods that you have to go through special preparations and before you can eat. And not everything is food based either, right? It's a very elaborate religion.
Mm-hmm.
We have several options, but you're not going to like them.
Oh.
Well, one option is to say, well, we'll be trading with the varjellen. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Tayrog.
No, I don't know what you mean by your option.
People are very... I've met people before who've been told since they were children of a religion, and it's hard often to convince them, assuming it's wrong. I don't know. I mean, maybe this goddess is trying to starve this town to death, but I don't think. So I'm just gonna say it's hard to convince people to change their ways, and if these priestesses won't change their ways, then I don't know. I don't see much hope.
Well, I'm not going to let these people and their children starve. So, ideas are we break whatever the goddess is so it stops sending these stupid visions. We take the priestesses out of town and say, yeah, you're going to go on a mission and try and teach other people about the value of your goddess. And before you leave, you're going to tell people it's okay to eat fish and, cereal and everything else that they're not allowed to eat, because the varjellen have been the catalyst for making peace between the two people. And now the goddess is happy and not cranky and hating fish.
Well, how do we make these priestesses not just look at us condescendingly and tell the people to kill us because Shunaroth, commands it?
We just drag them out of the village in the middle of the night.
I don't know. Maybe there's a way, like I said, I could sneak into the place and just alter the device. So
if you do that, that's great.
Greater.
I mean, I would probably start spreading a rumor that the priestesses were actually in league with Delix and try to turn the people against them, and all these edicts were actually false stuff that they were in cahoots with.
Tayrog, we just put someone in jail for undermining the general sensibilities of a town.
I'm sorry,
How about we teach them to grow grain? They don't have to eat fish.
But the fish is right here, and they're starving now. There are little kids starving now. I'd rather undermine the starving.
I don't think that's what you mean.
I'm not good with the words, but I know what I mean.
I would like to see if we can change the machine. I'm not sure, or find something in their temple while they're away. I don't like trespassing, but I do think this is
So the temple is really just sort of this open, like think of it as a big round stone dais, maybe 40 feet across, with these big columns that kind of come up and then form almost like a dome like thing. So everything is very open.
Very open.
You can, between the columns, you can see the thing turning. And when you've been here, the priestesses have kind of just always been around during the day, but not at night.
Okay.
Let's come back tonight.
So you guys are telling me that there is no God, that there's just this machine? Is that what you're saying? Because I wanted to be a priestess. And now I can't be a priestess because I'm not a girl, but also there isn't actually a God. So I really can't be a priestess?
I mean, it could be a god, right?
It could be a god, and the conduit is through this metal core, or stone braid, excuse me. But I feel like, based on what Eldon is saying, that these messages from whatever machine, goddess, are being scrambled.
Oh.
And maybe we can
Improve
scramble it
the
further, or try and write it, or make it work, right? Maybe it's malfunctioning.
So it's like when you holler down a tunnel and the sounds change and you can't tell what they're saying. So you think, oh, that's what they're saying, but you're not right. So we're going to make the tunnel sounds clearer.
When you get a lot of little kids and you tell them a message and they whisper to each other in the ear, and by the end they're saying, "Don't eat fish."
Yes. Oh, I see.
Hey, Eldon, that thing you do to make pictures and stuff, could you make like a picture of the goddess telling something about how fish is good and cereal's good?
Not without understanding better how the goddess appears to them. The dreams I see, I don't see a goddess. I don't know what I see. I don't know how to make an illusion of what would signal to them. But if we examine the machine more closely, we'll understand what they do see and how they interpret it, and then I could replicate it.
Does anyone else have any understanding of Numenera, or ability to alter the Numenera?
I'm good at taking it apart.
All right. So we'll come back tonight, under the cloak of darkness, and stealth, with some stealth, I hope.
Okay. So you're gonna leave Elric and Jaffin's house, like in the dead of night, or just after the sun sets, or what's your plan?
I think we should set up a false story, like, we're going to go out tonight and gaze at the stars off in some direction, and and do some meditations as we sometimes do from Neon, what we do in Neon. So don't bother, if you don't see us, that's where we are.
But like, how many hours after dusk? Like
3.
Okay. So there's probably still going to be people walking around in the street at only 3 hours after dusk.
Oh.
Right. If the sun sets, I think in this season, it's kind of the equivalent of about 6 o'clock. So.
All right. Well, maybe we should actually go off in the direction we said we're going to go and spend a few hours, and then circle back.
So it's more like midnight-ish. Okay. You find that Red Ridge is very still and quiet at that hour of night. There's, of the few dozens of buildings in the town, maybe more than that. Maybe there's 100 buildings in town. A small fraction of them have lights on coming from them at that point. It's very dark, other than the fact that you still got some good moonlight. It's slightly overcast, so it's not as bright a night as it was last night. But what would you like to do?
Make our way to the temple.
Quietly.
Okay, sounds like you guys want to make stealth rolls then. Sneak.
I'll apply a level of effort.
Okay.
Oh, I rolled 20.
Nice. So you get those points back. What would you like for your special effect to be?
Just to help kind of pick the spot. Like if there's an area like, oh, there's a bunch of dry leaves here, I'll kind of point that out so that nobody else steps in anything that makes an obvious patch of noise.
Everyone gets an asset from Tayrog as he's
Yeah.
helping you.
I apply 2 levels of effort, speed, I guess. So I'll end up with 3 levels of effort altogether, which is good because I only roll 3.
Okay. Kin, how about you?
I am trained, and I get an asset, and I roll a 10.
Nice.
I used a level of effort. I have the asset from Tayrog. Thank you. I almost stepped on a big old twig, and I rolled an 8. So
Okay. So you guys are, sneaking around town. You make it to the temple. There doesn't seem to be anybody around. The goddess is slowly rotating around just like she does every other time you've been here. There is no change as you enter the temple structure itself.
How big is the goddess again?
Like 40 feet high, I believe, something like that. Yeah.
Well, I would like to go to a position behind based on like where the main part of the town is and kind of get out my stuff and just try and spend some time to see if I can understand the workings and if there's mainly I'm looking for any blockages or places where I feel like that there's an imbalance. Basically I'm looking for a thing. Sometimes when I make stuff, there's short circuits, that kind of thing, right? But I just need to get a basic understanding, I suppose, before I can do the second part.
Okay. So go ahead and make an understanding Numenera action.
And I have a question related to that too that may help. We found that artifact that can make something weightless.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know if that works just on objects or if it could work on creatures, but if I could like lift Kuo up higher so you could see if there's like a interface panel higher up on the goddess or on the top, then I would offer to do that.
You think that you definitely could use that artifact to lift Kuo up and then just like let Kuo hang there in the air.
All right. Yeah, please. The more of a look I can get at this thing, the better. Thank you.
Okay. So what I'm going to say is I was already going to make the difficulty 1 higher because it's rotating. But the fact that you're being lifted up, those 2 things will cancel out. So you kind of get a better view higher up and probably a better understanding by seeing more of it. But you're still you think that it's more difficult because this thing is moving, and if you actually want to do anything to it, you know that it will also be more difficult because
Well, I'm trained, and I'm going to in understanding, and I'm going to apply all 3 levels of effort to this step.
Nice.
To have 4 to apply to ease things by 4 steps.
This is a good moment for it.
5, so that'll be 7 points minus my 3. Minus my 2. All right. And I have no XP, so this roll is what it is. And of course, it's only 2.
I have an XP and you're taking it.
All right. My dog is very excited.
Oh, yeah. Attention. Is it a 1?
Yes.
Okay.
I have an XP.
Yes.
All right, I'm
my
getting different
God,
dice.
this game.
God.
Teamworky.
Shananoff is unhappy with this turn of events, clearly. All right, that is an 18.
That's what we like to see. Good.
Nice. Okay. So you're looking at it. It doesn't seem like anything that you can get your mind around. And then you kind of try it from a different angle, and now it makes no sense to you. But then suddenly, at the last moment, because you've got this higher vantage and whatnot, you see what you think is between, like almost halfway up, like where the spindle is at its widest, sort of in between 2 of these sort of almost rope-like portions. there's a seam that you think you could probably get access, like you think something could be removed out of that seam, maybe.
Mm.
One time like the present.
And that's from your understanding point of view, that's the only thing that you can kind of. Otherwise, it just looks like a big spinning rock.
Right. All right. So I'm not really repairing. That would be more like salvaging, right?
Well,
Or
if you're still it depends what your intention is. If you're still just trying to figure stuff out, it will be another.
I just want to pull out this thing because I mean that was a really that really strained my mind.
Okay, there's no role involved.
All right.
It's just sort of a matter of kind of getting in there and sort of this whole. Um, it's almost like pulling out like a piece of vellum or paper or something from it, and you sort of sliding in between from these two sort of ropey like protrusions, you're pulling out something, and it's still connected, so it's still stretching into the thing. But as soon as you do that, you begin to see forming on the vellum these images and whatnot, and like symbols and whatnot made of light, just kind of appearing on them. And you realize that you are looking at like it must be some kind of control panel, but it's not like anything that you've ever seen before. Meanwhile,
No.
Kin, this is for you because somebody's coming. There's a man. You've never seen him before, or at least not that you remember. And he's walking. He's just walking down the street, kind of coming in your general direction. And at this precise moment, you're not 100% sure if he has seen you or not. But, Kuo is way up high in the air right now, and, Tayrog and Eldon are around too. So, Ken, what do you do?
Well, first I give an XP to Kuo because I have a sense that he's going to need it as he's up there working. I'm going to. Okay, so if this person, is it a human?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
If it's
Just a Red Ridge guy.
Okay, so if this person,
place.
if they stop and talk to me, can they see Eldon and Tayrog from where we would be?
You would have to move toward him to get to a position to make sure that he wouldn't see the rest of the people.
Okay, well, I'm going to move toward him and cast Illusory Duplicate.
Yes.
Which is something that I haven't done before. So
Yeah, you did it last time, actually.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I have done it. So good. I should be good at this, right? So I'm gonna do it with a flourish, right? My goal is to be like, ta-da, look what I'm doing, right?
Okay.
How cool is this?
So you're not necessarily trying to get him to believe that there's really two of you.
This is sleight of hand.
Cool.
So I'm probably going to move more than I actually need to make this thing happen. So I'm going to move up to where I feel is a good vantage point, and I'm going to make a version of myself, and and really focus as though like I'm just standing in the street, like practicing this thing.
Okay.
It's the thing that I want to do.
So we don't care how great the illusion is, really.
Right.
What we care about is basically your deception.
Right.
So that's what this is going to be.
So I have persuasion, but no nothing else that would help me in that. And this isn't probably persuasion. So
this is really more of a trick or a deception.
Yeah, I'm going to apply a level of effort. Oh, I'm going to apply 2 because I've got it, and
okay.
I really want to pull this off. All right. And I also have a cage as my oddity, and I might have the cage out there just as an additional, I roll a 19.
Oh, nice.
What do you want your minor special effect to be?
What do I want it to be? I want it to be that my me. So it says that my me can has sound and smell to it. So I'd like it to smell really good, like something baking and tasty, so that he's all ooh.
All right. So you do that. Your illusion appears, and this guy, as he's coming forward, he already seemed pretty surprised to see you. And that's when his hand goes down to his pouch, and he pulls out the jug of wine that he has in there. And you can see that he's kind of swaying a little bit.
I'm gonna give him a heart attack. Oh no!
And he looks at you and looks at this crazy display, takes a big swig, and then just turns around and goes the other way.
Oh my gosh. Great.
Nice one.
Fantastic.
Probably won't even remember that it happened because it seemed like a weird dream.
Which is both awesome and a little sad for Ken.
All right, that complication avoided. Cool, what are you doing?
Trying to understand this control
Okay,
panel.
so it'll be another understanding roll.
Well, I've got a lot of intellect and a lot of edge, so I'm gonna apply 3 more levels of effort.
Nice.
Okay.
And that'll, with my 1 level of training, that'll ease my roll by 4 steps. I roll 15.
Okay.
Nice. So here's what you understand. Whatever this thing is, you're absolutely convinced it's not a goddess. And it's you're definitely getting the feeling that it is transmitting something on some really weird level, some really weird wavelength, but that is not its primary function. You are unable to determine what its primary function is, but you know that it is currently not performing its primary function and that you could get it to start.
Whoa.
Well, rather than be impetuous, I will report this down to those standing below me and say, I don't think I have the expertise to actually command this thing to tell it what I want it to do. But I do have the expertise to turn it on. Although what it will actually do is anyone's guess.
I think we should take a look.
We will be careful down here in the event that it is a dangerous function. Please proceed delicately.
Good advice, Eldon. And Tayrog, are you controlling me? Is that what's going on here, or am I controlling my own ability to float here?
No, if you want to go back down to the ground, it's going to require the artifact. Right now, it's like you're standing in the air. You feel as though you're standing on the ground, but you're 20 feet up in the air.
How do I control this? Do I just jump off, or
you don't?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You're being a manipulated object right now
by Tayrog.
I believe Tayrog is using the artifact.
Okay, all right. This is what I wanted to make sure of. All right, so I turn it on. Or I try to.
Okay, you've already made the understanding roll. You already know how to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. And in fact, it's really easy. You just sort of play your hand over some of these weird images and symbols. They glow. The thing retracts back into the device like like one of those window shade things, and immediately,
Tayrog, get me down.
it begins to spin faster.
I'm gonna move Kuo away.
Okay. And faster still.
We should all.
Let's just kind of back out of here.
Okay. And then it's spinning so fast and making this loud whirring noise that you you can't even sort of recognize the shapes anymore. It's just a blur of spinning stone-like material. It's not stone. And then just suddenly, Eldon, that's when you notice that like some lights are coming on in nearby houses because this is making a lot more noise, right? So you see lights coming on, people, probably lighting lanterns or something, and with a incredible amount of force and a great deal of noise, the Shunav, the goddess, just thrusts down into the ground, spinning so rapidly that it just begins like a drill, just drilling down into the ground.
Boy.
And there is a surprisingly little amount of debris kicked up as it does that. It's just like making this smooth bore hole down about the width of the widest part of the spindle, just going down into the ground. There's some dust and dirt, but you'd sort of expect huge chunks of rock and earth and whatnot, and there really isn't any. You don't really know why, and it just goes straight down. And so there's just this big, round, dark hole. It just drills right through the foundation of the temple, and in fact, it looks as though the pillars of the temple are now kind of wobbling and whatnot. What do you do? People are almost certainly going to come running.
Exuent.
Yeah.
There we step out.
I mean, should we just like get the hell out of Dodge and let's not be seen running from the temple?
No, I'd like to go around a house and then come around the side and go witness the event.
If possible.
Join the crowd because people are starting to come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to be another sort of stealth roll, but I'd also allow deception for this or anything of that nature. But that sort of what's going on here kind of action that you're going to try to take here. It's going to take some doing.
I'm applying a level of effort, and I'm trained in lying and trickery.
Perfect.
And I roll a 10.
Okay.
I apply a level of effort, and I'm actually I'm serene, right? So I can ignore panic. I'm hard to rile. So I don't know if I was on the verge of feeling panic. So if that applies, I would like to use that.
It seems like that would ease this particular task, right? As you're kind of pretending to not be all shocked and worked up about this, or at least not any more than the other people.
Right. I was like, oh, okay. So that will be with the level of effort, easing it by 2 steps. That was cocked. Let me use that XP that I was getting because I rolled a 1.
No! Oh my god.
Yes.
Wow.
And then I rolled a 7. Wow. Oh my gosh, this is like bringing it all back. All back, all at once. Oh my god.
Holy crap.
What about you, Ken?
So I just remember that I have a movement-related task and ability, but I am also trained in sneaking, so I'm going to guess that offsets it too.
This isn't really movement-related.
Okay. All right.
And sneaking will definitely count.
Okay, so I'm also going to use a level of effort.
Okay.
And I roll a 20 on the most banal thing, but I'll take it.
What special effect do you want?
Ooh, is anyone else in trouble? Can I help someone else somehow?
The only person we still have to resolve is Eldon. You could try to help Eldon.
Yeah, I'm going to try to help Eldon.
Okay.
Eldon needs to suddenly play it cool and look nonchalant to humans. That's a lot to ask, Eldon. So I'm going to spend 2 levels of effort because I'm really afraid. I am trained in deceiving, and I'm getting some help from Ken. Thank you. But I have no XP to save this, so this is it. Oh, and I roll a 4. But it's eased by 4.
Wow. Okay. So you all pull it off.
Somehow I could feel the bad roll coming.
Nobody questions. Nobody looks askance at you. You just sort of blend in with the rest of the crowd coming and look, and they're looking at this big gaping hole, and then just as sort of people start moving closer to look down into the hole, that's when the actual temple structure collapses and everyone backs away. But nobody was really close enough to it. The only people who would have been close enough to it to be hurt were you guys, and you got out of there. So most of that just kind of falls down into the hole, actually. But there's rubble and debris kind of strewn about, and everyone is just shocked, and there's a great cry of surprise, and there's some dismay, but not everyone is sure if they should be worried or upset or whatever. And that is when the priestesses make an appearance, and they step out, and Shuna Aran, she at first you think she also looks shocked, but then you realize that it's more awe than shock. And she, looks down into the hole, which, by the way, is actually starting to fill up with water because you're close to the water and whatnot. And she turns to the crowd and she says, "It is as was foretold in the generation of priestesses before I came along, that Shunanov has gone off to her great quest. She has given us the ability to govern our own lives and watch over ourselves from now on."
Sweet.
And everyone just, and the people, are just like, "So this is a good thing? Is this good? I don't know. Sounds good to me." The people are just kind of generally confused, but the priestesses seem awed by this, like they somehow had seen it coming.
Holy crap.
Oh, man.
All right, good. We don't have to pull them out of town.
So it was a god.
Hey, if they were expecting this, I go congratulate the priestesses and marvel.
They say, it is. In fact, Shuna Oran says it is such an honor. Shunanov has judged Red Ridge as being able to fend for itself. No longer needs the flock. No longer needs the shepherd, she says.
I will say to some guy or gal, some person from the village next to me, I think it was when you guys formed friendship with the people next door rather than fighting them that caused this to happen.
No.
I will help you say
Would be, the guy replies. And in fact, he'll kind of hit the shoulder of the guy next to him. Did you hear what the outsider said? And they begin talking about that.
Cool.
And word begins to spread in Red Ridge that it was in fact the forging of the bonds between the communities and the interactions of these outsiders to as a catalyst, which clearly put Red Ridge in a place where they can start to make their own path.
More than they even know.
And of course, part of that path is establishing a trade route with Neon, thanks to you guys, and utilizing the outpost that you have set up north of here. You're going to be able to return back to Neon now with news of a possible alliance with Red Ridge. And of course, Ulrinic and Jaffin, are thrilled. And when you're going to return, Ulrinic would like to go with you.
Great.
Ooh. We would love
Happy
to
have him.
You want to take any last actions as you before you? I mean, I know you can stay in Red Ridge longer, but eventually you're going to leave. Is there anything that you wanted to do?
I'm going to teach you people some fish recipes.
Kin, I wanted to give you my machine control implant in case you wanted to graft it. I'm not sure when you're ready, but if enough time passes and you happen to be ready, that's something we've been holding on to for a while. So I'm curious whether Kin gets any more grafts as we're hanging out there.
I tell Eldon that I've been kind of looking out for you during this entire
Yeah.
thing, even though if you didn't realize it. But obviously, that was unneeded, and you're obviously someone who can take care of themselves and obviously look out for other people. So your abilities are not only talked about, but they obviously demonstrated, and I'm in awe.
Aw. I know. What a good leader. You're a good leader. Do we go? So at some point we have to go back and tell our town that we've established the trade route, right?
Right. You'd go back. The outpost is sort of halfway there, and then you can get back to Neon. So
I want to get like some samples of the seeds of things that they grow here, just so I can say, look, they have weird plants that we've never seen before.
Is anybody
Yeah,
thinking about? Oh, sorry.
yeah, that sounds great. And they're eager to hear about the things that you guys have up in Neon that they don't have here.
Is anybody thinking about staying?
I definitely want to stick around and use my delve bonus to their community to help them find resources and stuff. Now that they are free to choose what they want, they might need somebody to say, actually, you can't eat that. That's poisonous. So it's good to not eat that.
I think we get a vignette of the campfire at some point, right?
Sure.
And Eldon is musing. When we're talking about what do we want to do next, right? We're talking about the future. For all the time that I've spent in human communities, the events of the last few weeks have shown me more than ever how malleable humans can be, and how different groups can be, and yet changeable. I'm impressed by the ways that you are not as static as I had thought. I think, although I am homesick for Neon, I will want to leave again and see new groups of people and understand ways that they can change me and I can change them. I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Also,
Cool.
the Numenera are fascinating. You must tell me more, Kuo.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to award you all 2 XP for forging the alliance, another XP for sort of freeing the town from the inadvertent tyranny of their goddess, and then a 4th XP for the establishing the trade that
Yeah.
you're sort of part of the big picture goal here. So 4 XP for everybody.
Tier 3.
Cool.
Eventually. Yeah. So excited.
Cool. Well, so this is going to wrap up sort of chapter 1 of Bearing the Light, and this has been really, really fun, and I'm really glad everything worked out. I was
Thanks, Monty.
had a really good time.
This is really fun.
And thank you, viewers.
Yes.
Thanks for watching us struggle through this.
Kin was so
challenging-
nervous. It would have just broken Kin if this didn't work out. Like,
Yeah.
his optimism would have been smushed.
But it was vindicated.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, now that chapter 1 has sort of come to a close, let us know on social media or anything if there were moments that really stuck out to you. I'd be very curious to see what kind of a future chapter we might be able to bring together, and I'd love to hear what resonated with you. It was just it was challenging for me to portray a varjellen. More so than I'd always wanted to play one, and I was like, oh, here's my chance, and I'm like, wow, it's really strange to be so weird. And then I got to meet other varjellen who were even more incomprehensible to me. So I had a lot of fun with that dynamic, and it was a fun challenge for me.
Cool.
Yeah. So I have some plugs that I want to chat about, unless anyone has anything final words for the chapter. So if you would like to play the wonderful, delightful things that are found in Numenera Discovery and Destiny, it is not out yet, but it will be soon. But you can still get in on the pre-order period, where you get a perk of getting the PDF for free of these, over 800 pages of beautiful material, all nicely hyperlinked. So PDFs are nice. You get the PDF free with the pre-order of the slipcase set. So check that out. I'll give a little link in the chat momentarily. But also, we just lots of backers and pre-orders have their copies. It's out in the wild. People are playing it, which is delightful. But we are looking to the next supplement too. So if you are digging, getting to dig into communities and salvaging and crafting, if you're really liking that aspect of Destiny, which I just dug into over the break, Building Tomorrow is coming out around the corner, and we have just opened pre-orders for that. So if you pre-order Building Tomorrow, you'll get it before it hits street date. So you'll get it in your hands for, a number of you worked on it. So tons and tons of new plans, cool community-based threats. It's really taking the really beautiful new stuff coming in Destiny and giving you lots more elaborating on that, lots more options, lots more ideas of relevant Numenera plans. I think even creatures and things related too, right?
Yeah, Bruce and Sean wrote that book.
Mainly new plans, new artifacts, new avenues for what you can do to when people do weird crafting things, new challenges for your communities called high challenges.
Some new sample communities that you can invest in.
I love the sample communities aspect. That'll be really fun. So that's on pre-order. I'll give you a link momentarily. And then I wanted to call out the fact that we have Grant Ellis in chat. Although we're sort of bringing this chapter of our actual play to a close, there's lots more actual play of various Cypher System games going on and Invisible Sun. I am having trouble keeping up with it all. So if you are running a cool stream of actual play or a podcast of some of our games, definitely come tell us so I can try to keep track of it. And I'm going to try to get a little roundup of some of the ones that are happening, especially Grant Ellis's triptych of Invisible Sun campaigns that are all happening in the same world and reacting to each other have sort of launched over the last few days. So I'm going to try to wrap those up. Grant has let us know about the one that's happening tomorrow in chat. Those are really fun. And then bi-weekly and Fridays, we have The Truth Bleeds at Twilight, which is a delightful Invisible Sun show being run on our channel right now that follows a team of investigative reporters for like a trashy gossip rag in Saturnine. So it's a very fun setup, really delightful, and kind of there are 2 GMs who run it. So that's definitely worth tuning into. That comes on right after Callisto 6 on Fridays, which is every week coming from Geek and Sundry. And Callisto 6 is talked about it a lot, but it's so good. It's Cypher System Supers and Cyberpunk and Eric Campbell GMing and just a fantastic cast. It is a delight to watch, and there's lots and lots of good fan art and tweeting about it. So follow the hashtag Callisto6 and come watch it with us on Fridays. There's lots more goodness. And finally, speaking of Eric Campbell, and actual plays and all manner of things, playing and GMing. If you are excited to maybe run your own stream or think about running games online, one of the places where we're going to be sharing some of our experience and bringing in other expert consultants is Your Best Game Ever, which is a book we held a Kickstarter for, and the pre-order period for that on BackerKit is open right now. So this is really, their pre-orders happen in a manner of ways, but this short little pre-order period for Your Best Game Ever is like your main chance to get in on the really good deals for all of the,
Right.
the new Cypher System rule book, all of the cool supplements that got expanded to be these huge books. Monty?
When these books come out, we'll have pre-order deals and stuff for them, but this is the opportunity to get in on the really fantastic deals that only appeared in the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
If you missed out on the Kickstarter and you're regretting that, or you weren't able to get into it, you can still get into it just like any other Kickstarter backer, but only for a limited window of time.
Yes. So I'll put those links in chat, and hopefully, if you like it, you'll go check it out. If you think a friend will like it, you'll tell them. And otherwise, we'll be announcing some other cool Twitch stuff that will be coming up. Owl of Lycia is going to be happening, starting up a new season here shortly. So stay tuned with us. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. It's been delightful to get to play live games with all of you and react along with us as we roll ones mostly and 19s and 20s occasionally. So thank you so much.
Good night.
Yay to see everybody.
Good night and
Yes.
thanks, everybody.